Hello, my friends. In this time together, I want to share with you a message from Sweet Orange directly to you, sweet or wild orange. And if you want to grab your sweet orange, your wild orange, and take in a bit of that as you listen to these words, I'm going to put it on my hands. I have a little bit of diluted sweet orange on my neck. Okay, I think you'll like this one, and it's very timely. So imagine this as if the inner nature or the spirit of orange is speaking directly from its heart, if you will, to yours. Here we go. I would like to start with glee. If you can imagine the energy of playful glee rolling and bouncing, effervescing and expressing joy and delight, like the squeals of a child when they're playing in rain puddles for the first time. There's a certain gift of levity that I can bring to the heart and to the embodied experience. It is one of instantaneous freedom, creation through play. In your quest to be free and feel good, you can become so serious. And you cannot get to the quality and experience of freedom that your soul and heart desire through making effort in this way. You cannot get to the quality and experience of freedom that your soul and heart desire through making effort in this serious way. When you have been trying for some time to improve your experience in your life conditions and it only seems to be getting more dense and more complicated, I am the perfect medicine. I'm the perfect ally. Engender and activate the playfulness and innocence of the child. Indeed, I bring you the instantaneous union with your child spirit, unencumbered by the challenges of existence. You see, for each of you has within you what you call the wounded child and also the innocent child. In fact, they are not separate. They are two sides of the same coin. You can access the innocent child through play and permissions to be non-conforming. This permissions does not come through a thought form. This permissions comes through play itself. You often think of the wounded child as being heavy and intense and something that you have to deal with. The wounded child is actually your portal to the lost parts of your now self that struggle to play. This is really important. The wounded child is your portal to the lost parts of your now self that struggle to play. In other words, it's through having connection with your wounded child that you can access innocence and play at will in your now self. Sometimes, for some of you, to choose to go directly to play is not really a direct path because you can't do it. It's hard to get there. Can you relate? Like, how can I just go from seriousness to playfulness? This doesn't actually feel authentic. Sometimes the direct path is to connect to the wounded child and then allow the play to unfold from this sweet union. Many think that connecting with the wounded child is done in order to heal him or her somehow. Really, the connection to the wounded child is quite simply an opportunity for integration and access to levity that is born from challenge. So I want to say a little bit more about that through the expression of sweet orange. It's through density that we know lightness. It's through nighttime that we know daytime. It's through darkness that we understand the light. This is the world of duality and polarity in human experience. This is important. The wounded child is simply the denser aspect of the playful child. Neither one, I have my typos here. It's not like one is the correct one or the right one and one isn't. that we should elevate one over the other. They represent an access point for experimentation in the now experience of the choice for playfulness that can naturally exude from deeper union with oneself. I know that was a mouthful. Ready? You can see that the more you push away from the parts of yourself that are uncomfortable or that are wounded, the more you actually distance yourself from the portal that welcomes you and moves you into the dimensions of chosen experience. In other words, you cannot bypass the painful parts of the self to claim the joyful parts of the self. Actually, you can bypass, but then you won't actually be able to sustain and grow your delight of being and joyfulness. But also, you do not have to wallow or fix the painful parts of the self in order to access the joyful parts of the self. As long as you deny any parts of the self, you will also be denying parts of your imagination. Imagination opens the doorway, and play is the fantastical guide. At this point in human history, it's very important for humans to be opening up to their imagination connected to playfulness that is not separate from the wounded self, from the wounded child. I'm wondering if I should read more or just let this brew. Mm-hmm. Sweet Orange has a lot to say. Yes, more. Ready? This is important. Let us explore more here about playfulness with conscious choice. When you are young, playfulness comes naturally and easily. And you just do it, right? We're young, we play. That's part of what you do. As you accumulate painful experiences, there are conclusions that are drawn that diminish the bandwidth of spontaneity and joy. As you accumulate traumas and pains, there are conclusions that are drawn, personalizations, that diminish the bandwidth for spontaneity and joy. To the degree that the human continues to shrink, the bandwidth shrinks, they become more dry, more brittle, less interesting, and less dynamic. If this adult were to pretend to be playful while ignoring the painful parts of the self, the playfulness will be transitory, and most likely they will not have the experience of trusting their capacity to enjoy life. This is also why addiction is so common. When that bandwidth shrinks and there's the brittleness, there's the desire or the drive to create experiences of altered states of consciousness to relieve, to create playfulness and joy, but it's fleeting. If the same person acquaints themselves with the wounded part, not for the sake of fixing it, but for the sake of finding greater union with the totality of who they are, then this opens up the portal way for play. This access to play is through conscious choice for greater union with self. Therefore, the capacity to play becomes an integral feature in the integrated human. The capacity to play becomes an integral feature of the integrated human. It becomes a light unto itself. We could call it the light of delight. As this choice for a greater union with all of oneself continues, the capacity for playfulness and delight continues, and they will create a scalability within the healing process and the transformative process itself. And you can see that this also helps to resolve any unproductive polarity between lightness of being and density of being, or the healed parts and the unhealed parts, or the easeful parts and the healed parts and the traumatized parts, the pleasurable parts and the painful parts. As long as you feel that you have to choose one over the other in order to be a responsible, well-meaning human, you will actually sacrifice union with the totality that is you. So if you feel that you have to disallow or push away the wounded self in order to be the healed self, you will sacrifice the union with the totality that is you. And if you sacrifice the union with the totality that is you, this is a bit strong. Are you ready? Then you become a fragmented zombie, walking earth, susceptible to manipulation. It's no mistake that we are quite obsessed with zombies these days. So you can see that my medicine is very important, not only for the creation of an ever increasing, joyful and delightful and integrated experience, but it is also the very direct medicine for the healing trajectory of all of who you have been and all the ways that you have been wounded through betrayal, manipulation, and deceit. And this is because of how orange impacts the heart. This is good. Okay, my friends, if you're wondering what to do with orange now, you can always take a drop, put it in your hands, and inhale. Doing the point Shenmin on the ear is one of my favorite points for orange. And over the heart, point CV17 is also another beautiful point. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this, you can give the video a thumbs up and you can share it with others. This helps to spread these important messages for us, important and very helpful messages. From my heart to yours, and until next time.